Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Let me adjust my
Welcome. Yeah, we're getting final logistics ready here for you all today. Pero
tech
sí,
crew getting ready.
yeah, yeah. Tech crew, maestra, curriculum, our very special guest, your Hada Madrina as well. Pero sí, hi, everyone. It's Angelica and our tech queen.
Daisy.
I know. So here we go. Per usual, we're gonna go ahead and give all you jefas some time to trickle in. It is 4:01. We are going to get started around, I would say 4:05. So en unos 4 minutos. In the meantime, for all of you watching and joining us today, hello, welcome. So happy to have you here. We do have a check-in question for all you jefas. Number one, per usual, please let us know your name and what city you're tuning in from. We always like to know where our jefas are watching us from. And today's check-in question is, what question do you want to ask your business Hada Madrina? So think of a question that you would like to ask Ashley K, author of Jefa in Training, because we do have her here with us today.
We
So,
have
yeah.
an awesome Q&A session. Don't miss it. It is because of her that our Jefa Business Bootcamp was this good and amazing, and we were able
Mhm.
to make the entire curriculum. So thank you so much. And definitely don't miss out on the chance for the Q&A.
Yes. Do we see anyone in the chat, Daisy? I don't see anyone on my end.
Well, people are still joining in on Instagram. We still have people coming in slowly. We are, give me 1 second. We are still getting a couple more views coming in. So no rush, but everyone will start coming in soon.
Cool. And then while we wait and allow more people to trickle in, I want to ask you the question, Daisy. So, knowing that we have Ashley here with us today, do you have any specific question that you want to ask her? Anything that you want to pick her brain about?
I guess if I think about my dynamic as like a jefa, I tend to get analysis paralysis before starting. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I plan, and then when it
Mhm.
comes to the execution part, I'm like, why is my execution so much slower than my planning phase? So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think like for me it's like, oh, I want to hear what kind of advice she's gonna have today for strategizing that part of any business, of like, okay, getting things flowing and going and actually seeing it, rather than like, okay, when I think about it in my head, it's so much faster. Like if
Yeah.
I were to have a business in my dreams, or like a business in my mind, it will be done by tomorrow. Like all of it will be done. I will already be in the podiums, I'd be
Mhm.
receiving awards, I do everything. But the world just moves at a normal pace, and so it's like, oh
Mhm.
wow, okay, my execution is so
Mhm.
slow, how can I fasten it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting you say that because, even thinking of myself, right, of like a jefa too, I think I get stuck on that process as well, right? I think about things too much, but the action sometimes scares me because it's like, okay, maybe on paper, my roadmap might look nice, right? My ideas might look cool, but the idea of showing up and actually doing it and putting my face forward, right? Putting my ideas into the world, I think, I guess for me, it's like the idea of being seen can still be intimidating sometimes, right? It's like, what does it mean to be seen as yourself, as this jefa? And there is a lot of potential for good things to happen, but also a lot of potential for criticism. So I think for me, that's where I get stuck with the analysis part, right? It's like, okay, the ideas are there, but like the action part, the being seen part. So I'm very curious, actually, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I wonder how Ashley deals with that part, right? Which to a certain extent I would argue is kind of like imposter syndrome, right? This idea of like, are my ideas good enough? Am I good enough? Like, will the world be open to this? I don't know. Mm-hmm.
It's a good
We'll
point.
ask Ashley.
We have it right here, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So everyone else tuning in again, warm welcome. It's Angelica and Daisy. This is our last and final Power Hour number 6. We are ending the English Power Hours Pero les queremos dar un announcement, and you're hearing it here first. We are going to have the Jefa Business Bootcamp Spanish Power Hours coming up after this ends. So, starting October, we are going to go through the entire motion y esta vez en español. Entonces, si tienen primas, tías, familia, amigas, ustedes, quien quiera ver el curso en español, aquí vamos a estar en octubre y esta es su invitación para venir y pasar el bootcamp en español.
Mhm.
Entonces, here we go. I think we're ready to keep
I
moving.
think we're ready. Let's go.
So, with that said, once again, warm welcome to all of our jefas tuning in from wherever you find yourself in the world. We're super duper excited to be wrapping up our Power Hour series for the SUMA Jefa Business Bootcamp 2024. Of course, being the last Power Hour, we had to end with a bang. Definitely wanted to end with Ashley K. And I'll go over right now the agenda, but I just feel like this is the perfect slide, right? So once again, you've been hearing me say this over and over and over again. Every power hour, this entire boot camp, like Daisy mentioned, would not have been possible without Ashley K, author of Jefa in Training. That is the beautiful book that inspired this entire course. I want to go ahead and remind you all Jefas that Suma's Jefa Business Bootcamp is composed of 12 video lessons along with worksheet and quizzes. As we make our way towards graduation for next week, I do want to invite and push all you jefas. You still have 7 days to complete the entire course and get your graduation invitation. At the end of today's Power Hour, we will be announcing the Jefa keynote speaker. And again, you heard it here first, unless you're in our broadcast channel. It has already been announced there. Pero sí, let's get into today's agenda. Again, warm welcome. We want to give a special welcome to Ashley K, author of Jefa in Training. She will be guiding us through secrets of scaling a six-figure business. So, Daisy, how are you feeling about today's Power Hour?
I'm excited and I'm ready to speak with Ashley.
Yeah,
Woo,
so
so
with
let's bring
that
her
said,
in.
I know I was like, where is Ashley?
Here she is. Hi,
I
Ashley.
I am here. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me today.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, jefas. Entonces, now that we have Ashley, your business Hada Madrina, Daisy and I are going to go ahead and give Ashley the platform so that she can go ahead and guide you through the secrets of scaling a six-figure business. However, as Ashley is guiding you through all these secrets, Daisy and I will be popping in and out to make sure that we're checking in and engaging in this beautiful platica with Ashley. So, without further ado, Ashley, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Take
There
the
you go.
floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for taking the next move on your HIFA journey. I know that it can be really scary to start your entrepreneurial venture, but we are here. We're going to do it together. And I hope that this presentation will kind of pull a lot of things together that you learned from the bootcamp. So in this presentation, like Angelica and Daisy said, we'll be talking about the secrets of scaling a six-figure business. And I just want to make note that if you don't already have a notebook or something to take notes out on, this is a working session. So you will be given some tools along with the secrets that I will be giving you. So I hope that you have some place where you can jot down some things if any ideas come your way while I am talking. And I will be checking in for questions along the way, and we'll also have a separate Q&A after the presentation. So if you think of anything while I'm talking, because it is a lot of information, feel free to drop comments in the chat and I'll either get to them during the presentation or we'll table them for afterwards. Cool? Ready? Perfect. I'm going to pop over to the next slide. So for those of you who don't know me for whatever reason, my name is Ashley. I'm a multicultural business strategist, also best known for writing Jefa in Training, which is the book that the Jefa Business Bootcamp was based upon. We co-produced these beautiful series with SUMA, and I'm so appreciative to the SUMA team for believing in the mission of the book, which really is to amplify the success stories of Latina entrepreneurs and provide some kind of representation within the publishing and entrepreneurial industries for us and empower more Latinas to start their own businesses. Because even though we are starting businesses faster than any other demographic in the country, the resources that are created for us are extremely limited. And so this book is just a little step forward for us to be on the same page as everyone else. So thank you again for having me here. I'm really excited to dive into my secrets. So I just want to say that every secret that I will be sharing today are proven methods and strategies that I have used with countless clients. You might know a few of them, like the Mujerista and Bonita Fierce candles are just a couple of them that I've worked with for the last few years. I've worked with consultants, other coaches, podcasters, e-commerce businesses, media companies, and so much more. And so I want you to know that I don't believe that there is one right way to do business. However, I think it is helpful to hear the experiences of others, and I do believe that we can learn business via storytelling. So I will be telling you about some case studies as well as this presentation continues. So the first secret is follow your roadmap, but leave room for flexibility. Now, being a business strategist, it might seem a little bit insane that I am kind of suggesting that roadmaps are a suggestion and not a requirement, but hear me out. I have reasons for this. But before we go into that, I do want to explain what a roadmap is and why we need one. So a roadmap is essentially a plan for your business, a series of goals and action steps, if you will, in order to keep your business running. And it can be over a certain period of time. So you can do quarterly roadmaps, yearly roadmaps, 3-year roadmaps, et cetera, et cetera. I like to tell all of my clients to work on the short term, but also have a strong vision for the long term, because we can say that something we want to happen in 3 years, but we never know. Uno nunca sabe, right? And so I have a very particular story where I remember my very first meeting with this client, and we were writing down her goals, and some of her goals were like getting into a big retail store and being featured in national media publications. And this was year 1 of business for her. And we actually reached these 3-year goals in the next year and a half. And so it's really important to know what that vision is, because everything that we're doing now matters. It might seem like this vision is a long-term vision, right? But sometimes we will be forced to make really important business decisions that can affect this vision, not in 3 years, but right now. So I always say it's really good to start with a vision, and 3 years seems like a good ballpark number for you to be able to do that. Now, in terms of things of including in a roadmap, there's a lot of different things that are very industry specific, but a general rule of thumb is you want to create a roadmap section for each of the different parts of your business. So obviously it's like financials, operations, sometimes that includes hiring people if you're there, if you're at that point, new product and service launches, any collaborations that you might be doing, any marketing and PR campaigns. So all of these things would be little sections in your roadmap, and then you would create goals and action steps from there. Now, there's a tool that I like to use in order to help create these goals and action items for ourselves, and that is a SWOT analysis. If you completed the bootcamp, you're probably familiar with this tool already. I did not create it. I'm actually not entirely sure who did, but it is very common amongst the business community and the marketing community. And the SWOT analysis represents strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So by completing this exercise, we can really take a look at what has been working for us and what hasn't, and choose to create next steps from there. An example I always like to use, especially during this time of year, is I like to do a SWOT analysis in real time of my business for you, but the express version because we only have a few minutes. So, for example, right now I'm looking at myself as one of my goals on my roadmap is to expand my reach as a speaker. And so when I look at myself as a speaker, I might be comparing figuratively to myself to other speakers in the industry. So as far as strengths go, I know that I have a really good reputation in the industry. I've got a lot of really strong press. My presence is strong. I have a book, all of these things. I'm well known for specific topics. So that's great. That's what I really have going for me. Weaknesses. Designing presentations is the literal bane of my existence. I say it all the time. We got to play to our strengths, guys, and that's not one of mine. So I will mark that down as a weakness. Now, this is important because when you're submitting proposals and opportunities, people want a speaker that has their things together, right? And so that might be something that's a weak point for me. And then opportunities, obviously Hispanic Heritage Month is now, so that's a huge one for myself. And then threats, threat could be something that we don't have control over. Right. So, for example, the economy, a lot of budgets have been cut. So, corporate engagements might not be a huge opportunity this year, but we'll just mark that down as a threat. And we won't really kind of tackle that, just be aware of it. But the one thing that we can do as a result of this exercise right now is use those strengths and opportunities, but also tackle those weaknesses. So for me, my action item from this exercise would be hiring a graphic designer so that I can be at the same level of all these other speakers that I'm up against. Okay. And the last thing that I will leave you with for this secret is, like I was saying, it's important to have a roadmap, but don't be afraid to explore opportunities that don't fit in the timeline that you have. Before we move on to the next secret, I want to give you an example of what this means. So I once had a client who had a vegan food pop-up business, and they are a family-owned business, and so she works with her mom and her sibling, and she is definitely a type A, wonderful, amazing marketing brain, planner, event planner. She has a lot of really strong skills, and her mom is more of like the creator of all the recipes, and she's a little bit like more free flowing. And so she was telling me that her mom likes to put things on the menu, put things up for sale that aren't on the menu. And she just kind of likes to surprise people. And she was like, oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. I can't control her. And I was just like, listen, let's review this, right? Why is this a bad thing? And I said, you can use this to promote something that you have coming up, right? So they were talking about doing a dinner series going forward. And her mom was already making these things that would be on the dinner menu at some point. So it could be kind of some kind of VIP experience, right? Like if you know, you kind of thing. And I always say, if it doesn't take you a whole lot of extra time or resources, it's worth trying to fit into the roadmap, even if it's not 100% calculated and planned out, because using this, you can come across a lot of different opportunities that might be able to expand your business, and trying to stick to one roadmap that doesn't change very often could limit yourself, if that makes sense. So that was secret number one. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions, things that they've been thinking about while I've been talking?
Hi, Ashley. I'm back.
I mean,
I do have some questions for you as I was hearing you. Again, amazing insights. I'm inspired myself. I'm taking my notes here. Two questions I have for you. The first one is just to clarify for newer jefas who maybe are new to business or not necessarily like in the corporate world. Can you explain just like what you mean by like quarterly analysis of a SWOT? And also, uh, how many SWOT analysis do they have to do within those 3 years?
That's a really, really great question. So, for those who are new and maybe don't have an established business already, I think it's important. You can obviously don't have anything to compare to per se, but you can still kind of keep track of where you're at based on the research that you've been doing already to set up this foundation for your business. And as far as how many SWOT analysis to do in this 3 year or 5 year or 1 year period, it really is super, super personal. I do them quarterly with my clients. So if you work with me one on one, we're doing them quarterly. And that's mainly because that's just the way that I've found planning to be easiest, especially when you're first starting out, in your first 3 to 5 years of business where so many things are changing every single day. um, some people even do them monthly, right? Or some people like to do it per part of their business. So they'll do like financial SWOT analysis like every month and operation SWOT analysis every month, but launch SWOT analysis or marketing SWOT analysis might be quarterly. So it really, really depends on what works for you. And I do think this is one of those trial and error things. Like I said, I don't think there's any right way to do it, but this is just what's worked for myself and my clients.
Oh, thank you. I love that, right? How personalized the SWOT analysis can be, both for the entrepreneur, for the Jefa, as well as like for their business. So that leads me to my second question. I tend to have a lot of anxiety, and I don't know if our Jefas here do too. But my second question is, within this secret, right, we talk about building a roadmap, but also having flexibility to go with the flow. So the question is, how do jefas manage their anxiety over letting go when things aren't going necessarily according to their plans?
Oh, this is a very, very good question and something that I have answered time and time again, and also something that I come up against myself, right? Like I have always said that I'm not type A, that I'm a very go with the flow kind of person until this year, where things really did not pan out the way that I was expecting them to. And there was so much uncertainty on so many different levels. And I think that the one thing that we have to remember is our vision. And that's why it's important to have our vision on like a piece of paper in front of us. I have my little vision board here actually on in the corner. I don't know if you can see it. But I think having something like that in front of us to remind us of why we're doing what we're doing when things get really hard and uncertain is really important. And also going into entrepreneurship, something that everyone needs to understand is that chances are things are not going to go as planned all the time.
Yeah.
And like you can try to have a plan B and plan C and plan D, but something that I think will be really helpful is also keeping your strengths top of mind. So if you see that something is not going right, understand what tools you already have as a person and then as a business as you build that you can use, right? For example, like I know that I have a lot of different revenue streams that I actually will go into further down the line in the presentation. But if one of those revenue streams is not going well at all, I can fall into one of these revenue streams that is a little bit more solid. And so I can kind of tap into that to make up the funds that are not coming from the other stream. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Awesome. And Ashley, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I just see myself a little frozen on my screen.
I can hear you. You did freeze, but we're good.
Okay, well, I guess one last thing I want to say here before I give you the space to move on to secret number 2 is the importance of having a growth mindset, right, with this roadmap and viewing obstacles as opportunities for growth and really focusing on your strengths and that vision, which is super duper important. So that's just Ashley. With that said, I will give you the space. I think we're good to move on to secret number 2.
Perfect. Awesome. So we will move on to secret number 2. Which is probably the scariest one for a lot of people, but we will get through it, I promise, included myself, right? So secret number 2 is knowing your numbers. If you're watching this and you're like, oh no, finances really scare me, I don't know if I want to continue watching this, stick with me, please. I promise it won't be scary. We will figure it out. But the one thing that I want to get across, and I'm not a financial advisor, I just want to say that I do recommend meeting with a financial advisor at any point in your business. They can be super, super helpful to help you plan for budgeting and projections. But something that you can start thinking about until you meet with one of them are these few questions, which is how much do you need to grow? What do you want your numbers to be, your revenue to be in the next 6 to 12 months? Where does your money come from? And also, how much do you spend every month? And these questions will really help you figure out pricing and also maybe different launches that you might need to execute or roll out so that you can make this money. But also, how do we even set financial goals, right? Obviously, we need to pay ourselves, right? So that's step number one. But then also, we need to figure out what do we need to run our business? What are those expenses if we are making products, right? Or if we're shipping out items, or if we need to hire people, if we're starting an agency. So all of these things are things that can be taken into consideration when you're making those initial steps in setting up a financial plan. And the truth is that we need to stay on top of these financial things. I think people make financial plans sometimes and then they just leave them and never open their financial plan ever again in that year, which is not great. Not great because things change very often when we're first starting out, and we really need to understand how things are rolling out, and industries change also, right? So we need to ask ourselves things like, will these prices that we currently have hold up against all these competitors that are coming out now, right? Or inflation, which is something that is a really real thing that's happening right now, or even scaling costs. We can be making money and really growing and feel like, oh yeah, the money's coming in, but the money's coming in, but it's also probably going out if we're growing. So we need to make sure that the prices that we're charging are keeping up with those needs that we have and the goals that we have. And something that people forget about, myself included, when I was starting out, was capacity. So this is something that was really important that my financial advisor told me, was especially if you're a consultant or a coach or someone who has a service-based business, when we're starting out, we seem to think in hours, right? So if we work a 40-hour week, that means that we can meet with 40 clients a week, right? Like, we charge by the hour. Easy, simple. Mentira. That's not true, right? If just because we have a 40-hour work week doesn't mean that we can meet with 40 people a week. That's actually pretty crazy and a sure way to burn out very, very quickly. Maybe that means, for depending on your business, that you have 20 hours a week to do client work. That client work might not always be calls either, right? It might be research for clients. It might be actually getting those deliverables done for your clients. It can mean so many things. So figuring out how much your hourly rate is, if you're charging hourly, is really important, in making sure to take into consideration that you don't actually have 40 hours a week. We're just used to thinking that way because that's the 9 to 5 life, typically, if we're working a job. And then, of course, does our pricing cover business expenses? That's something that we need to figure out as well. But like I said, I really recommend hiring a financial advisor, even if you're just starting out, because that's one of the keys to building a really solid foundation. I am sharing here a tool that is my capacity growth tracker, which is not my current one, but an older version, that you can kind of see all of the different revenue streams that I have. And in these revenue streams, I obviously have like speaking, courses, content creation, and then I have all my membership levels. And then I also have an example of like how long each takes me, or my capacity. So how many of these different kinds of clients I have. And then also projected revenue, et cetera, and then action steps. So if I see, for example, when I'm doing this analysis, that it's September and I only have, half of my revenue goal for the membership, like, how can I make this up in the next 3 months with another revenue stream or with this current revenue stream. So it's just something that I like to use for that. But at the end of the day, we cannot grow our business if we don't know what we already have and what we need. It's really, really easy to limit ourselves in this way just because we are scared to open up our bank account. And I know that SUMA is all about communicating financial literacy to the Latino community. So I hope that this is something that the audience that's watching right now can really take away from this. I know it can be scary, but it really is necessary for growth. Any questions about this secret? I know it's a heavy one. It's a heavy topic.
Hi, Ashley. I'm back.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Again, taking all my notes, so many things to digest here. Number one, agreed, right? I think, and I said this earlier, I don't know if you tuned into the IG live, but,
Hmm.
you know, from experience, whenever I talk to friends about money and finances, it tends to be a very, very scary topic and kind of one that like most of my friends and community members kind of want to ignore, right? It's just like, okay, if we don't see it, no está ahí. But the reality is that it's there. And what I love about your secret here is that it really encourages being prepared and having the tools, even if it's scary, right? Even if like the financial forecast might be scary and there's debt or like there's a number that scares you, the preparedness is what helps you progress, right? And get better. So, my question for you is this: you mentioned hiring a financial advisor. By any chance, would you be able to tell us more about what that process looks like and maybe where Jefas can find one and even like range or costs?
That is a really good question. So I think it really depends on the first, you have to make sure that whoever you're working with is experienced with the kind of business that you have, because industries can obviously, a product based business that has to worry about inventory and shipping and all these costs changing from suppliers and things like that, like they have a lot more complex things that they have to worry about that a financial advisor that maybe only works with like coaches and consultants would be able to help them with. So, and the same thing like for restaurant owners or food and beverage business owners, right? There's so many more things to think about there that might be different than like if you are starting a podcast. So I think having someone that's really, really experienced in your industry is really important to find. And then in terms of where you can find them, I actually met mine and someone that I've been with at a networking event, but the Chamber of Commerce, basically every city has one, and most cities have a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, is a really, really good resource to meet other business professionals. And I would always look into like their testimonials, talk to some clients, see what kind of clients they have before making a decision. Most financial advisors will actually do like a free consult from what I've found. And then depending on what you need, they will charge by the hour, like project from there, and their hourly rates can be anywhere between like $200 to like $400 an hour. So it really, really depends on the scope of work that they're doing. And then it's also really important to understand that financial advisors are not the same as like accountants or tax prepped people. So just make sure you know what you're getting into, but they probably have resources if you actually like need someone to keep track of your books for you and keep track of your expenses and pay for that service, or someone to handle your taxes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. And I'm so sorry, y'all. On my end, I seem to be freezing. So I'm going to be popping in here, I guess, through audio. But yeah, great information, particularly the Chamber of Commerce, right? I think that's a little nugget of advice here that maybe not a lot of jefas know that is available for them. So definitely, I think it's time for jefas and myself included to do some research and see if we can start finding those tools even locally through our cities. So, gracias, Ashley. I think we're good to move on to secret number three. I give you the space again.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Secret number three, getting cozy with your community to plan your next moves. So I have about 10 plus years of community marketing experience. So what that means is that I've grown my business and focus on growing my clients' businesses all organically, which means if you have questions about ads, I am not your person. But if you have questions on how to use limited resources to grow businesses, I'm your person. And so we're going to be talking about a little bit on how we are going to do that for your business. When I say community, there's a lot of different things that are involved in this community, but just so you know what I'm talking about, when I say community in this presentation, I mean your current customers, potential customers, future collaborators, really anyone who might be exchanging money or working on a project with you in some way that involves revenue at some point in your business. So know that that's who I'm talking about when I'm talking about community. Now, the number one tip that I can give you in terms of growth or just like planning out your business, like planning out launches, if you're thinking about creating a new product or service or how to market that product or service, talk to your community. Don't be scared. This process is also known as market research. It's part of market research, and a lot of people seem to think that you just do market research when you're first starting your business. And I think that proper market research should be done forever in your business. And when I was writing my book, I actually learned that most businesses fail in their first 3 years, not because of lack of cash flow, which we might think about, but actually because they lacked doing the market research that was necessary to be able to create these next steps. So when we talk about this kind of market research, we will talk about communicating with your community, and that could involve a lot of different tactics, like doing one-on-one interviews with potential customers or talking to industry colleagues that have been around for a really long time and might be able to give you special insights on a product or service that has been done before and maybe what it lacked, or also getting customer feedback on current or future needs. This one is really important. I think it's always really, really good idea to ask your customers what they feel like they need often, because think about it. The world is changing, our industries are changing all the time. So if we think that we can offer the same service or product in the same way for the next 5 years, maybe 10 years, I don't know. Let's think about it, right? How have businesses changed even in the last 5 years? Do we think that everything that we went through in the world in the last 5 years has not affected businesses that are running right now? Probably not, right? Probably they've had to change a few things. So we always have to think about that when we're doing this research and focus on. Obviously, we're not going to be able to meet every need right away, but it's something to keep top of mind. And then also researching collaborator goals and trends. So we all get really excited about working with people in partnerships, and I think they're a really, really awesome way to grow our businesses, but it can't be one-sided, right? So if we think, oh, we really, really want to partner up with so and so and so and so and so and so this year, we have to think about not just what we need from them, but also what their goals are and maybe some trends that they're trying to keep on top of, so that we can make sure that we're on the same page and we can kind of plan around that in our strategies. Now, there's a few things that I want to bring up when it comes to talking to our customers in our community is understanding why they buy. There's a really, really great resource that I just thought of that I want to mention. There's an amazing newsletter by a buyer psychology expert named Caitlin Bergeron. And I think I totally butchered her last name just now, but we can definitely send it out in the follow-up emails. And it is my favorite newsletter because she does full-on analysis of why people buy from top companies, right? And it just gives you a really good understanding of like how their products and their marketing campaigns are working in real time, but also they do a whole breakdown of the pain points of the customers, which I think is really, really interesting to notice. And the same way that they do that, you can do that with your business. So identifying pain points, so asking these questions in the interviews or the surveys that you're sending out. What are the current challenges when it comes to whatever problem you're solving? What are other solutions or companies that exist already missing, right? And how do they want to feel? What do they need from you? This is a really good question to ask if you are providing some kind of service, right? And you'll start to notice that people will say the same exact things. Like if you're a coach, maybe they want relief or direction or clarity. And we can take this information and we can literally just plug it into our marketing messaging. So these words of, people, when I was started to do this, when I started my business, people would say, "Oh, Ashley's really creative and she thinks out of the box and she's really empathetic," right? So that I literally copy and paste those words into my messaging as like the creative out of the box consultant. And so that was my messaging for a while. And so it really just was about taking that market research and putting it into action. Once we are familiar with our audience and what they need and what they want from us, it is time to identify your growth phase. So this is a tool. It's called the Ansoff Matrix for growth strategy, and there's a scale of 4 growth phases on here. And you can use this. Maybe it won't work for you, but I like to think of it as something to plug into your roadmap and something to always keep top of mind. And these growth phases, they could last 3 months, they could last a year, they could last 3 years. I don't really think there's any wrong amount of time to be in one of these phases, but I think it's important to identify what phase you're in so you don't get lost in planning too many things. So, for example, these are the phases, right? Market penetration, market development, product development. You can see on the slide what each of these mean, and they go from least amount of financial risk to most amount of financial risk. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're starting out in the market penetration phase, right? Your main goal right now is to sell existing products to existing clients. Or if you've already established your business and you potentially have a lot of extra money lying around, maybe your goal would be diversification because you've already built a solid community so that you can go ahead and focus on developing new products to new clients. That's why you see so many tech companies launching other things that might not seem in line with that they've done before, that they're just trying to appeal to new people. Okay. So I have some examples here, and you'll all be getting these slides. We're kind of running limited on time, so I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, but you will all have access to this information afterwards. So for example, for a product-based business like a jewelry maker, an example of something that you can do when you're in your market penetration phase is launch a targeted social media campaign on Instagram and Pinterest featuring influencer partnerships to increase brand visibility and attract more followers, because what you're doing is you're trying to get more people into your bubble, for example. For a consultant, you can, let's say we'll pick product development phase, right? Maybe someone who's a little bit more established, develop a series of online DEI certification courses for HR professionals and offer advanced training workshops on et cetera, because you already have a community that's built and now you're just trying to sell more things to them. So let's say you already do like one-on-one coaching or something like that, and you're just adding like membership courses, speaking engagements, etc. And really just think about meeting people where they're at. People say that all the time, especially when you're studying marketing and how to reach people, right? They tell you, oh, well, do content on the platforms that your people are at, right? Makes sense. Same thing. Show up at events where your community is at, or try to get featured on podcasts that your community is listening to. It really is, once you can become an expert at what goes on in your customer's head, it makes building businesses a lot easier in all aspects. Any questions about this? I think I see one in the chat from Daisy, do I know any AI tools to help with market research fit? Oh, that is a fantastic question. Um, I cannot confidently answer that. However, if I can do a quick plug, um, there is a wonderful Latina whose name is Dulce Toscano, and she is hosting an AI specific event for my community, the Jefa Training Circle, tomorrow. And it's all about how to build your AI marketing assistant. And I am positive that she has tools that she can reference. And if anything, I can ask her during the workshop tomorrow, and I can get back to everyone about that. Any other questions?
Hola, I'm Daisy. Go ahead. I think also, sorry, the maestra in me is kicking in and saying for the sake of,
Go ahead.
I think I'll let Daisy ask the question, and moving forward, I think we should just let Ashley complete the presentation, and if it's time at the end, we'll hop back
Yeah.
into questions.
Yeah, the question was how can you go about like getting a collaboration with a PR agency? Like, are those really good for businesses?
That's a really good question. So I'm going to be talking about PR actually in the next secret. So if we can, let's just table that, and
Perfect.
hopefully you will be able to get your question answered
Oh
then.
my gosh, amazing. Well, thank you. I read your mind.
Yes, you did. Awesome. So I'm going to kind of just go through the main points of the next two secrets, and then we can wrap up with the Q&A just for the sake of time. So number 4 is mastering the art of the pitch. Pitching is a tool that you can use in every phase of business for a variety of different reasons. Today, we're going to be talking actually a lot about PR because that is actually my background. I started in music PR, and that's how I really grew my first business. And I've brought those tools and resources and knowledge into all of the businesses that I've grown up until now. But really, the main thing that you need to think about having a pitch is knowing what makes you stand out from everybody else. And I like to say your unique selling proposition or unique value proposition is really made up of your differences, right? And seeing those differences as superpowers. So in order to develop your unique selling proposition, it's made up of a couple of things, right? And that is who you are, how you do it differently, and obviously what you do. And at the end of this secret, you're going to see a little formula, actually, that is featured in the book and also in the business bootcamp on how you can create your elevator pitch, your unique selling proposition, something that you can say as, I am so-and-so, I do this, and this is how I do it differently. Tips for pitching, and this is pitching anything, right? Like pitching media, pitching a collaboration, even pitching future clients, right? Because we all are going to have to do that at some point or another. Get familiar with your industry. You don't want to be going in blind. Be very intentional about reaching out to people. If it is, let's just say, if there is a month coming up where your business would be really relevant, maybe just keeping that top of mind before you pitch so that you can optimize that opportunity. And then please, please, please always personalize your emails. Nobody feels like just a number or a check, something on your checklist to do. People get pitches 8 million times a day, so you really want to make it feel like something that's written for them and something that's going to be of value for them as well. So that is the one. Those are the best practices that I can give you for pitching. And this is an example of the formula for the elevator pitch. So it's who you are plus what you do and for who, if that's applicable, and how you do it differently. You can take a screenshot of this. You can wait for you receive the presentation. But we can definitely, I am happy to go through your elevator pitch with you if you want to get in touch with me afterwards. If you want to try it out on me, I'm happy to do that with you all. This is mine. This is what I've been using for a while now, and I'm going to highlight the parts that are in the formula, right? So I am a multicultural business development strategist and author, so that is the who I am, and this part goes into what I do and who I do it for. So I work with the new majority to launch and grow their businesses, and how I do it differently. This is the important part, is through a hybrid method of coaching, consulting, and integrating myself into their business as part of their team. This last part, I think, is something that people forget often, right? Because a lot of the times, just an example, people will be like, I help women make six figures, right? That sounds great, but how are you doing that? Because that's a huge promise. So I want to know, what are the methodologies that you're using, or what makes you different from the other person who's saying that they're going to help you make six figures? So really the how, I think, can be really, really helpful to setting yourself apart. All right, now we're going to get to secret number 5, which I think probably will be my favorite, and that is establishing trust and loyalty by showing off value and experience. So with a strong pitch, you can do a lot, and we're going to be talking about all these different things, including a question that Daisy had about PR. So we're going to be going deep into that right now. So the one thing that I will tell you is trust sells. So the main goal for your brand, just say, is to develop trust so that people can come to you knowing that you have expertise in some area in your industry. And the way that you do that is you build a strong personal brand and providing value, and then that instantly makes you a thought leader. A thought leader is somebody who stands out in their industry because not only have they provided a lot of value to their community, but they're also coming up with new ideas, problem solving in their industry, and they're really just someone who influences other people. So there's a lot of questions about like thought leaders and influencers, like what's the difference? And I always like to think about thought leaders are at the top, and a lot of times they are the ones influencing influencers who are then spreading those ideas around, or those products around. That's kind of a good way to think about it. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I establish this thought leadership, right? And there's 3 different parts to it, and that is called the know, like, trust factor. I don't want to say that they all go kind of like in a row, like first people get to know you, then people like you, then people trust you. Sometimes it happens all at once, just in one simple interaction. Maybe this presentation that you're watching right now is how I'm going to be seen as a thought leader to some of you, and that would be really exciting. But for example, right, when people get to know you, that comes with brand awareness, right? Getting out there through collaborations is just one way. So my collaboration with SUMA could be a way of me establishing thought leadership to new people, getting people to like me, authenticity, creating genuine connections through a unique perspective and idea. Right now, I'm sharing my genuine perspective on scaling 6-figure businesses and giving ideas. So that could be a way for you to like me. And trust, showing social proof. So all these stories that I'm telling about clients that I've served or experiences that I've had, this is my way of getting you to trust me, for you to understand, oh, Ashley seems like she kind of knows what she's talking about because she's helped this client do this, or she's done this with her businesses. So this is just kind of how I think through the process of every interaction with someone. And number 6 is building a community and creating an experience for sales. So I do not like to think that sales are transactional. They should be an all-around experience, starting from the moment that somebody encounters your brand, whether it's they're pulling up your website for the first time or finding you on social media. It really, really ties into the whole experience, and you really want to make things feel familiar for people, because that also develops trust. I don't know how many of you follow the Mujerista, but they revamped their website a few years ago, and one of the things that people kept saying about the revamp is that it felt like home for them, and that really made people gravitate towards the rebrand. And that's how you start building community, because it creates an experience, it creates some kind of familiarity and relatability to the brand, and it makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. If you completed the business boot camp, you know the sales funnel, and you know kind of what goes into building a sales funnel for your business. But I want you to think about how thought leadership can also be integrated into the sales funnel and how they kind of overlap. So when you're entering someone's funnel, you are in the brand awareness phase, and then interest, which is kind of when someone starts engaging with your content. Then decision is when they actually have to decide whether or not to give you money. Then action is when they finally, sign the deal, right? And then afterwards, this is the phase that I think people forget about often, and that is the fan phase. That is once they've already paid you, they're already a client, they're already buying your products. How do you get them to continue staying in your community? How do you get them to continue being a client or a customer? And that's when I think these things are really important to think about, because you've already developed trust with them. But what feeling do they want to continue feeling when after you've already had that transaction, right? Because if you think about it, it is way easier to continue selling to people who already have that trust with you than new people. So key takeaways from this sales secret, if you will. Focus on showing your value in the interest phase. Focus on solving a problem in the decision phase. In the decision phase, that's when a lot of us do sales calls or demos, right? We want to be able to solve someone's problem and show them how we're going to solve their problem during that phase. And then action is when you provide that feeling. How can you really develop that trust during that phase? We've only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to kind of speed through some of this, because this is already content that's in the boot camp. But there was a question about PR earlier, so I want to answer it in this part. PR is a really, really great tool. And for those of you who don't know what PR is, PR now is very different than it was years ago, but now it could even mean like going Instagram live with somebody, like an influencer or thought leader in your industry, or being on somebody's podcast, not just traditional media, like being on TV or being on the radio, or being written up in Forbes or some other big national media publication. I think that it's a really, really great tool, and that is often how cold leads come in. You do not need a PR agency right off the bat to be able to get PR. I have seen baby businesses who have been in business for less than a year get featured in major media publications because they have a story to tell, and that creating that trust and that value, that's really what it is, and having that strong pitch will really, really help you. Once you go into warm leads and hot leads, there are different things that you can kind of do to move the needle. And yeah, PR can help in all phases, right? Like if you're on the fence about hiring a consultant and then you see that they're featured in Forbes or Business Insider, like that might help you move the needle a little bit more and decide to work with them. So it's something that for you to start thinking about as well. And then the fan phase I talked a little bit about earlier. Referral programs are really great ways to get people to continue working with you, and kind of bring more people into your funnel. Giving first access or beta testing is also really, really cool. People like being a part of the process, right? Building in public is a good way to build for a reason. People like feeling involved and that they can grow with you. And the last thing that I will leave is lead with the value only you can bring. And that means really honing in on your story, your why, your vision, providing that value, and creating those genuine connections with your community and learning more about them and how you can make your businesses serve them better. And that's really a great way to build a very strong foundation. as well as those not so fun things like knowing your numbers, making sure you're okay legally and in check. Um, but that's really it. I have a couple minutes for questions. I'm happy to stay a couple minutes extra if you all want.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm back. And also, I want to be the plug in here to just remind all the jefas, if you still don't have access to Ashley's book, definitely encourage you to buy it and get it. I believe it's available at Amazon, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
right now, it is the only way to get the book unless maybe your local bookstore has it. I would check because some probably do still have them in stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jefa in training. Also, subscribe to Ashley's La Hoja newsletter for, again, free business strategies. And there is also Ashley's Jefa in training circle. Is it a subscription?
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
membership community. It's a membership community. I've got a few different tiers, starting at $49 a month, and you get access to mastermind sessions with like-minded jefas. We have guest expert workshops coming in. So think about the jefa business bootcamp, but like on an ongoing basis to help you develop your business at whatever phase you're in. And then you can also get one-on-one time with me if you want to help strategize, or if you just need a thought partner. I think sometimes we just need someone to business vent with and someone with experience to kind of give a different perspective on things. And so that's really what I'm here for in the circle.
Yeah, no, and you are amazing. Like, even in today's Power Hour, again, I was taking my notes, I was learning. I think I'm joining the circle. I'm like, I
We would
want
love that.
I'm like, I want to learn more. You're just extremely knowledgeable, and it truly shows, right? But one thing I personally love about you, Ashley, is how you still maintain like that human element to business, right? Like this idea of like caring for your customers, caring for the people that you work with, whether it's like stakeholders, collaborators, the people that are, you know, buying things from you, right? Whether it's services or products. I think that really resonates with me. And I think it goes back to like the importance of being a thought leader, right? Like what values do you want to be known for as well as your business? So you're amazing, Ashley. I'm telling you, I'm joining the
Thank
circle.
you.
I'm
we
going to be
will
there.
we will be waiting for you with open arms, Angelica, and all of you who are watching too. If you have any questions, I know we were on very limited time today, so if you're like, oh my gosh, what did she say about that thing in the presentation? I didn't really get it. She kind of zoomed through it. Like, I'm happy to answer any questions. I do respond to Instagram messages or LinkedIn messages. If you like doing voice memos, I'm down to do that too. So I don't bite. I am very approachable. Please reach out if you have any questions about the presentation.
Absolutely. And again, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you. Team SUMA appreciates you. You've been such an integral part of the Jefa Business Bootcamp. And again, today was just, you dropped so many gems, and you know, you are much appreciated here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so
Mhm.
much. It was so great to be here.
Thank you. Have a good one, Ashley. So at this point, I am going to toggle you off. I have a few more
Okay.
announcements, but once again, thank you. Um, Bye, Ashley.
Bye.
And I'm going to invite Daisy, if you're there with me. There we go. I think I can't
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yeah, okay,
Oh,
great.
what an amazing presentation. Hi. Thank you
I'm
for
telling you, I'm like, I'm joining the circle. I'm in. I was like, I'm going.
yes.
Pero yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and invite Daisy back in because once again, we're here. This is the final English Power Hour number 6. Congratulations, Jefas. We did it. You did it. We did it.
Shedding my tears.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful journey. I just want to go ahead and encourage all jefas joining today, right? Even if you haven't necessarily finished the boot camp, remember that there are still 7 days left for you to go through the entire boot camp course, including all 12 of 12 quizzes. That is very important. Your 12 of 12 quizzes will get you your invitation to the graduation. And with that said, without taking up more of your time, we do want to go ahead and share this very special announcement. You heard it here second because first our broadcast girlies heard it first. Pero our jefa keynote speaker for graduation will be none other than Sandra Velasquez, founder of Nopalera. We are super duper excited to have Sandra. We have a beautiful platica in line with her. It's going to be amazing. So just want to go ahead and remind you, graduation is next Wednesday, September 25th. Same time from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And yes, if you want to join this beautiful graduation ceremony, celebrating all of you, having a beautiful platica with Sandra, please make sure that you complete all 12 of 12 quizzes. Daisy, where can they find these quizzes and the boot camp just to refresh folks' mind?
Yes, you can always check it out under the YouTube description. So go to our YouTube. All of our videos are there. They are available. And whenever you go down on the description, you are able to access all of the quizzes and take them. And we keep note of that. So definitely don't miss out.
Yeah, and actually, before we leave, I'm going to see if I can give that playlist to people here just so that they can access
Yes.
it. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So there you have it, Jefas. Again, we're super duper excited to see you all for graduation. Excited to engage in La Plática con Sandra from Nopalera. On our end, that is it. Once again, this is the last English Power Hour. Remember that we do have the entire Spanish version coming up in October. Si están interesadas o si quieren compartir esto con tías, primas, amigas, vecinas, lo que sea, aquí vamos a estar en octubre. Other than that, Daisy, do you have anything else to wrap things up here?
Están invitadas a la segunda parte de este curso. Las espero ahí. Y I'm just excited for all this. So thank you. Thank you, Maestra. It has been a pleasure. I've loved it. I can't wait for graduation.
Oh, and thank you, Tech Queen. Like without you, I was like, what would I be without my Tech Queen? So,
Shedding
alrighty.
tears.
I
Okay.
know. Pues gracias, jefas. We'll see you in
Gracias.
graduation.